So we're switching things up a little bit here because I don't have access to my other LEGO Lord of the Rings sets right now, so we'll see how this video here performs. This is set 79014, Dol Guldur Battle from the Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug. This set here released in 2013 to coincide with the release of the movie in cinemas. I also have here this little companion set, 79011, Dol Guldur Ambush, which also released at the same time, and like the Helm's Deep and Uruk-hai army set, these two sets could conjoin together to make one complete scene. The Middle Earth line was crazy. We were having a full new wave of sets every like 6 months for almost 2 years or something. You got 797 pieces here, technically 8 total minifigures in this one, but only 6 of them count as characters, 3 of them are exclusive here. The set did retail back in the day for 70 USD or 150 NZD, that's an insane markup there. If you were to buy this brand new today, you're looking at around 400 NZD sealed or 280 in an opened condition. Now as for that small one there, 217 pieces in total, 3 minifigures, apparently all 3 of the figures here are exclusive. At least one of them is, and it's a damn good one too. It's retailed for $20 USD or 50 NZD, and today it sells for about 140 NZD sealed or 120 in opened condition. Not too much of a difference there. The set overview on this one is the Dol Guldur battle sequence, kinda, from the second Hobbit movie. This appealed to me as a kid, and it does appeal to me as an adult, but for different reasons. Back then it was the exclusive minifigures, and despite being based on a sequence that I don't think really grabbed a whole lot of people, it didn't grab me at least, the sets together do feel reminiscent of a classic LEGO villain castle technique, which is why I like it now as an adult. Let's get into it. Like Helm's Deep, makes sense to start with the small and just make our way up. The Dol Guldur Ambush set is a pretty nice little taste tester for the full build. We have here a little fortress build, complete with a handful of traps and skeleton-based decorations. Building these really took me back to thinking about Castle and Prince of Persia from way back when. There's very similar build methods and details here, as far as I can tell. You can see we've got some peg connections on the sides there. That's actually going to allow us to connect these two sets at the end of the video, and you probably notice some things like some hinges here. The wall can actually open up to reveal a flick-fire missile on the inside. There's also some nice dead tree detailing all over this thing. I like the use of the shark tooth, which can kind of help as a landmark for opening and closing up this wall. As for the traps in this set itself, we do have a comically large mallet-like weapon, which is also on a hinge, swingable, and it's ready to mess someone up who's trying to break into the castle area. And then simply put, we have an axe here, which is just kind of the same gimmick. And we have a couple of single studded tiles here on the ground, which is where our minifigures can stand in order to be attacked. It's pretty simple in its build, but it is solid enough in its execution. It's worth mentioning here, I didn't realize at the time of filming this, but it's actually supposed to also include this little catapult, which explains the overabundance of skulls lying around here, because surely you'd use that as ammo. The minifigures included here are decent. First up we have Beorn, who is one of the coolest and strangest additions to the Middle Earth line. Beorn's special mold is that his head is just one full complete piece. The minifigure head is molded into that hair. I really love minifigures with this kind of flesh tone. It's always helpful for making customs. Many of the customs I've made on this channel use this type of flesh tone. I love the details on that torso there, and the facial expression is pretty good for him as well. He's menacing in the movie, but a calmer expression would have also worked for this character, though maybe not tied to this scene. This is me showing the torso detailing here on its own, just so you get a better look at the front and back. It's a strange inclusion for the sets because from memory, pretty sure Beorn never actually steps foot in this area in the movies. I guess they needed someone appealing here to the masses to try to get you to buy both of those sets. There was no bear variant ever included in the line though. This is the first of a few Gundabad Orcs that we'll be looking at. I actually really like this new variant of Orc, which I think was first released in these sets for the Hobbit line. They weren't present in the Unexpected Journey sets from the year prior. This guy's rather special compared to the other Orcs for using the same hairpiece but with the ears painted as a different color here. He also has some shoulder pads with these really cool spikes up top. He reuses the same sword piece from the other sets. There is no double-sided expression. Your other Orc included in the set is the exact same figure, but he is missing the shoulder armor here. Besides that omission though, it's the exact same minifigure, and it certainly won't be the last time we'll be taking a look at a Gundabad Orc in this video. We now get to move on to the actual build here, this menacing castle, which looks pretty cool, and like I mentioned, it feels really reminiscent to me, like it's borrowing the best LEGO ideas from the castle themes and fortresses. This kind of feels like we're in LEGO's wheelhouse. We first extend the build out because it makes the design easier to handle here, and we can actually remove these stairs from their connectors in the middle to get a better feel for the shaping. Careful not to close it up too close though, because these top display things, they can come flying away otherwise. These are also on their own hinges actually, so if they do annoy you, you can just move them out the way. The build essentially consists of a few things here. We have a Necromancer magic-like wall, an entrance, and what appears to be a dungeon maybe of sorts, or at the very least a dead end here, and then we have a tower build, which features the only form of an interior space and other rooms. Starting at the entrance, it uses the same door that you'd find in like a graveyard-like set, ancient rundown ruins or something. There's some sticker details of cracks and scars in the foundations to help emphasize that this place does have history. Up top is a catapult weapon, which is perfect for using against people trying to break in. It's a very strangely designed trigger on the side here though. It can be used to activate the dropping function. I believe that this is what the skulls are also used in this set. Simple functions like this are very cool to me, but I do think that the design of the switch could have been better here. It just sticks out like a sore thumb to me. The steps are a mirrored design. Getting figures to stand here is a little funky actually. There's just not too much room here between the studs to bricks for specially molded figures like Azog to be properly displayed. You can get simple poses, but an action pose is a little bit more tricky. It's built like a Minecraft generated world, square bricks and some smooth tiles here, sturdy enough and it gets the job done. The up top section features some more interesting design for that rock-like structure. I think had the design been a bit more asymmetrical though, the idea would go a bit further. There's also some standing room here, but there's not a whole lot, not nearly enough for some interesting display poses, but instead there's just enough room here for other figures to go. Play feature is also located up top. You can spin this flame stand around to rotate the magic door. More nice stickers here for the designs, and the door rotating around means that the Necromancer can now be summoned into the scene. It's a very simple feature, and it is a personal favorite of mine always in LEGO playsets. The Necromancer can now confront our heroes. From this angle, the set looks pretty cool, so it's funny then when you flip it around and see how barren the other side is, which is also where the interior tower is. We've got some spikes on the walls here and some trap activators, but besides that, the place was pretty much left alone. The last section here then is the tower and this dead end. It's a small little walkway area with another skull and a spiderweb inside. There's not too much to interact with here, and if you got stuck here, you'd be in deep trouble. Instead of having parts to represent dead vines, we've got a sticker design here of sharp vines climbing the wall, and then instead of having a sticker design up top here to represent the dead vines, we've got a sharp vines piece instead. The skeleton cage here can be lifted up and down, connected by a chain to the stand. You can see that there's a peg there, and that's actually holding it in place because this is how it acts as a feature. If you remove that peg, the cage will collapse. Ideally, it'll disconnect from the chain and then it'll crash on the ground. If you loosen those parts up a little, you could probably make it that the cage actually breaks open even. It's cool. It needs a little bit of juice to come away from that chain, if it is supposed to do that, of course. I did think it looked pretty cool doing that though, so I'm just going to keep doing it. It feels a bit cinematic like this. The entire section can also be removed from the display too, if you wanted to just put it on the side there, if it's maybe getting in the way or something. As for the interior, it is very minimal though. The top floor directly underneath where the cage is located has a bucket for storage and a stickered detail of a dead fish, and then down below on the ground floor we have a brown plate, I don't know, and another stickered detail of a skinny bone. This section's not as good as the last one. Like a fool, I actually forgot to mention there is a swinging blade gimmick by the web. I guess if you do try to escape the place, that's what's going to be waiting for you. Thank you, Jangbricks. To top off this display, we also have a statue build, which I do really like. It feels straight out of a video game to me. I don't recall a statue being too prominent in the movie. Could be wrong though, it's been a while since I watched it. This also houses a small little feature though, and that is pretty cool to see. There's some more dead vines and leaves pieces here, and the statue is listed as a minifigure in the same way that the skeleton is, by the way, but you're not going to be using that figure as a minifigure the same way that you're going to be using Gandalf or Radagast. It's a very cool simple display stand for the statue. You can see that there are hinges on the back here. It's because the entire thing can open up to reveal a hidden ring on the inside of the base here. It is just a random ring, though it is using the same piece that represents the One Ring in the LEGO Lord of the Rings line. Make no mistake though, this is just a wizard's ring here. If we rewind back to that small set that we started out with, we can connect the two sets together now, so it looks like this. It's cool overall. It doesn't add a whole lot here like the Uruk-hai one does to Helm's Deep, but the extra minifigures and small extension do make this appear a bit bigger, and it offers more in-play features at the very least. Gandalf here, I'm pretty sure, became the most reused named character in the Middle-earth line just because of these Hobbit-based sets here. Gandalf in these releases started seeing hairpieces included instead of the wizard hats, which does mean that we do get some double-sided expressions, people. Gandalf is a really cool figure though. That cape and blue-grey hair and beard are really cool parts to get, though it was always disappointing that he never had a molded piece for his staff. Removing all of those extras here, Gandalf does have the same expression that he's always featured, but he also has this angry expression now for when he's battling against some orcs. I still wish we got some sort of a hat hair combo piece, and it's disappointing that we still didn't get this kind of a piece in the new Rivendell set, but you know, maybe sometime in the future. This here is Radagast the Brown, who is such a cool minifigure to have in these sets. He's currently valued at 140 NZD in brand new condition, so I think that makes him the most expensive Hobbit figure currently in this time. Crazy too, because this line did receive Comic-Con based figures. Radagast here has such cool details on him, the most interesting part of course being that rubber material that's used for his hat, hair and beard combo, complete with animal droppings and the details as well. There's also a small opening there for a feather piece to be included. Radagast has some cool torso details as well as a double-sided expression we'll take a look at now if I remove all those extra items like the cape and hairpiece. Now he looks mad, but we can also see some more detail on the torso. The face actually reminds me of Old Man Luke with that beard and those colors. Also props to this guy for actually having something extra with his staff piece and not just being the plain inclusion. This is Azog, who at the time of this release was the most important minifigure in my eyes. Azog was originally released as a Comic-Con giveaway figure and for some reason is currently valued at 3.5 grand NZD. That $400 price tag on the set is starting to look pretty good actually. This Azog figure in this set is the exact same one in the Comic-Con one, now worth $63, and maybe I'm missing something here, but how else are you supposed to tell the difference between these two? Brickset's telling me that the Comic-Con figure in opened condition is worth 870 bucks. Are all of us Dol Guldur bros sitting on a secret gold mine or something? What's going on there? Azog is an amazing minifigure to me. I get that some people hate the weird special molds like this on LEGO figures because it doesn't look like a LEGO figure, but I love when they do something weird like this to change up body proportions. I feel like this idea of having a head and shoulders molded piece would be so useful for so many other figures across other IP. Azog also has an interesting piece for his claw-like hand. Feels like we used to get figures like this all the time with interesting limb editions back in the day. Nowadays I think it's a little bit rarer than it used to be, but when we do get figures with cool parts like this, they are always interesting. Removing that piece here, you can see how the body works and the little detail at the top of the torso there. It's really interesting to see that they printed something on that would be covered up permanently. This is the Necromancer, who was featured in the Hobbit movies as a secondary antagonist. It's actually Sauron before he starts kind of having more of a presence in the other series of movies. It's a very interesting interpretation here because in the movie, the Necromancer takes on all sorts of different shapes and forms, and he never quite looks like this exactly, but the colors here actually do match this sequence, so I do think that's cool. It's a very simple figure in its execution, yes, and this is where I'm quite hypocritical because I like the creative liberties that have been taken here. I mean, I say I'm a hypocrite. I don't dislike it when LEGO take creative liberties with choices like this. I just don't think that they usually always work, but I do really like the idea of taking the colors of the scene and throwing those onto the minifigure. Orc time, this here is another Gundabad orc with the shoulder pads, which again, it's really cool to have more of these in these sets. He has a classic orc sword from the castle line, and he features the exact same printed details as the other figures previously looked at here. Our final orc here features the exact same printed details, but none of the extra parts included. He doesn't have the shoulder pads, he doesn't have the hairpiece, so I guess he's the weakest one. These are your figures in total, and that is the set. I actually think it's pretty cool. I used to be a lot harder on this, mostly because of what it was based on. I just don't really think that these sequences in the movie are that interesting, and I just don't really think it's that cool of an idea to pick basing your biggest set of the wave on. This was essentially the new Helm's Deep set with the small edition build and everything, but of course it's worth noting that this was significantly less in its price compared to Helm's Deep. Now that I'm older and I've been studying LEGO's build methods for some years now, I feel nostalgic towards the earlier castle lines from X amount of years ago. This feels right at home within LEGO's wheelhouse, like I was saying. The creepy design of a decrepit fortress, the traps that have been laid about, and all the fun play features. This is through and through a traditional LEGO style design. You throw in a couple of really great minifigures, including changing the game on Comic-Con exclusivity. Yeah, I think it's a good one actually. If you enjoyed this look at a LEGO Hobbit set, liking this video and subscribing to the channel does help to support us in making more videos like this one. Ka kite anō, I hope to see you guys in the next video.